What's going on, guys? In today's video I wanted to take a second and show you how to rig up one of the most popular rigs in fishing. That would be the Texas rig, and it's really simple to hook up. It's one of the most popular ones for a reason. It works really well. It's a great finesse rig, and it works all over if you're pond fishing, if you're creek fishing, basically anywhere you want to pop something across the bottom and present a more realistic movement to the fish. The Texas rig is a great option. So what we've got here to work with is some 8-pound monofilament. We've got a 4/0 offset hook. This is sometimes called a worm hook. And then we've got an 1/8 ounce bullet weight and a bead. You can find all this in your local sporting goods store, Walmart, your fishing section. All right, guys, so I want to take a second and show you the concept of a Texas rig and why I think it works really good and it's so popular. So we've got a bandito bug here on a Texas rig, and the concept is, if you look, the weight and the bead can slide freely on your line. And so what happens when you cast this and you pop it, when you pop it, it pulls the entire thing up off the surface of the pond. And then when you let go, the weight is heavier, so the weight falls immediately to the ground, and then the bait actually just slowly drifts down towards the weight. And then when you pop it again, the same thing. The weight comes up, the whole thing, the weight falls, and then the bait slowly drifts down. And so what it does is it looks like your bait is actually chasing its own bait or chasing a meal basically on the bottom of the pond. And it represents like a real life scenario, what a fish would see, right? A fish would see a smaller creature chasing an even smaller creature or smaller bug on the bottom of a pond. So the first thing you want to do is get your line. I've got mine set up here, and we'll start with our bullet weight, and we're going to slide that small end first onto the line, and then we can kind of let that go to the front. Then we're going to do the same thing with our bead. And so now what you should have is your bullet weight and your bead with your bullet weight facing your rod. So that should be your rod side. Then we'll take the end of our line and we're going to thread it on our hook. And now you guys can tie whatever your favorite knot is to hold it all together. I'm not going to get into a debate about which knot is best. We'll save that for a different video, but I'm going to go ahead and tie me a knot here. Pull it down. And then I like to trim off all the excess, but I leave just a little bit. And I do that because when you set the hook, sometimes if your knot isn't really tight, it'll slip a little bit, and that little bit of excess, if I can get it to focus, it'll keep the knot from coming undone. So now we've got the basic aspect of a Texas rig set up, and we're going to show you how to hook it on 4 different types of popular baits. All right, so first we're going to start off with a Zoom trick worm. This is, I think, pumpkin blue, maybe. Green pumpkin blue, I think. I don't know. Anyway, it's one of the more popular types of baits to fish with, and you can see here you've got a flat bottom, and then you've got a ribbed top, and then you've also got a small section and a fat section of the worm. So this is the head of the worm, the fat section. That's what we're going to start with. You're going to take your hook and you're going to thread it down on top of the head of the worm, pop it out the front side. You're going to slide that worm all the way up the hook, and what you want to do is cover up your knot. So we're going to get it off of the offset, and I've used this worm a few times here, so it's kind of falling apart. We're going to cover it up just like that, and you can see the worm is hanging down in the right direction. And now we're going to find out where the hook crosses the worm. We're going to mark it with our thumb and kind of bring the worm up and pass the hook through the body of the worm right there, and then we'll pull it back down tight. You can see it's a natural flow for the worm. That's the importance of getting this distance right, is to make the worm stay straight as possible. Then what we want to do is you want to cover up this hook, because if not, it'll present a snag for this thing to get caught when you're dragging it across the bottom of the pond. It'll get caught on every piece of grass, every log, every stick, every obstruction in the pond will catch it. So we want to make this weedless, and we do this by pinching the worm, and then we're going to slide it up, stretch it basically, and then we're going to cover the hook with it, and then slide it back down. And so what that'll do, and I didn't do a great job of it right there. There you go. This worm's been used a few times. So that's the concept of what you want to do. You want to present a weedless option, and then you combine that with the bullet weight and the bead, and you've got a Texas rig. Next up, we're going to use the lizard. This is the same approach. We're going to start with the head of the lizard, and you can see there's an underside, and then the top side actually has some little like eyeball features, and then the underside is smooth. So we want the underside to be facing the hook, and we're going to go in the head and out the bottom, and then we're going to thread this all the way up so that it covers up the knot again, and we'll spin it around to where the worm is on the open side of the hook, or sorry, the lizard is on the open side of the hook. Cover up the knot here, and again you can see he's hanging down very naturally towards the tip of the hook. So we're going to find out where it crosses his body, mark it, come up, go through the middle, and now again the lizard's very natural looking, and we'll just stretch him out, cover up the hook. You don't have to cover it a lot. You kind of want the hook to be just like barely in the surface. That way whenever a fish bites it and he gets his mouth in it, you can set the hook and it'll kind of pop it out the top of it. So we want to keep it very natural. We don't want the hook to be in the bottom of the lizard, or it's not going to do anything. So there you go. Combine that with a bullet. Once again, another Texas rig setup. Next up, we've got the fluke. This is another really popular bait. A lot of people will actually fish this what they call weightless, and so they won't do the first part, the bullet weight and the bead. They'll just basically rig it up on a hook like a Texas rig, and that's really good for grassy water where you don't necessarily want it dragging all the way to the bottom. You just kind of want this thing to softly drift through the middle of the water column. But we're doing it full Texas rig, so we're going to start with the head, and you can see there's this like inner pocket on the bottom, and the hook's going to kind of live in there, the body of the hook, and it looks really natural. The offset hook kind of curves with the belly of the fluke. So we'll start with the head with the bottom of the fluke facing the hook. And we're going to thread the hook down on the head, and we're going to come out the middle, and then again we'll go all the way up, spin it around to where the fluke is on the open side of the hook. We're going to cover up the knot just like that, and again you see very natural looking. Then we're going to mark where it goes under, go back under, and you want to make sure and go in between the two flaps, and then out the back of the fluke. There you go, and you can see it's very natural. Everything is straight, no weird bends in it. Hook's right in the middle. The hook goes in between the two flaps on the underside, and then we're going to stretch it, set the hook in the backside so that it's weedless. And that's a really natural looking setup. And then we combine it with a bullet weight for another Texas rig. Now some people I've seen, let's see here, I'll push that up a little more. So if it's not covering the knot very well, sometimes it'll look a little bit awkward in the front. You see that there, how it looks a little bit awkward. That's not a problem, because like I showed you earlier how a Texas rig works, these two are kind of chasing each other, and so it doesn't need to look like this is the head of the bait. This is actually what the bait is chasing. Okay, last but not least, we've got, this is a bandito bug. This would work, you know, similar to a crawfish for a lot of companies. This is a really popular bait, good versatile bait. I actually use it quite a lot. This one doesn't really matter, top or bottom, or sorry, front or back. It doesn't matter top or bottom, but you're going to start with the head, and you're going to feed it down onto the hook, pop it out the middle of one of the sides, and then we're going to spin it around and slide it all the way up and cover up the knot. There we go. I like to stretch it up over the knot and then pull it back down. And then we're going to find out where it crosses. We're going to go through the body. And then you can see, again, very natural presentation. Nothing's curved, weird. It looks exactly the way it should. Stretch it out, pull it through the back of the bait, and there you go, another Texas rig. All right guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today on how to rig up a Texas rig. I hope this catches you guys a lot of fish. Let me know if you want to see other kind of setups in future videos. I'll go over them for you. Just drop a comment below. If you want to see other fishing videos, I do fishing videos on my channel, and just feel free to subscribe and let me know what you want to see, and we'll try to put out some more content for you guys. Other than that, hope you all have a great day and catch a lot of fish.